Listen to me. I don't care where you are right now. I don't care what you're going through. Hear me loud and clear. Your story isn't over. Just because you cried, just because you've been broken, just because you've been through pain, doesn't mean it's the end. Those tears, they are not wasted. They are watering the seeds of your future triumph. Some of you think because you failed, because you've been rejected, because you've been hurt, that life is finished for you. No, the very fact that you're still breathing is proof that you're still being written. You don't stop in the middle of the storm. You don't give up halfway through the movie. You push through because the best chapters are still ahead. Life doesn't ask for permission to break you. But I came to tell you, every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every scar you carry is evidence that you survived what was meant to destroy you. Your tears are not weakness, they are strength in liquid form. So don't close the book on your life yet. Don't let your pain define you. You are more than your mistakes, more than your losses, more than your darkest nights. When you turn those tears into fuel, when you refuse to quit, you will see that your story goes from tragedy to triumph, from pain to power, from tears to victory. And when you come out of this storm, you won't just inspire yourself, you'll inspire everybody who thought they couldn't make it. You'll prove to the world that your story wasn't over. It was just getting started. When we talk about tears, most of the time people see them as weakness. Society has taught us to hide them, to keep them locked away in the dark, because tears are supposed to be a sign of defeat, a sign that you can't handle life, a sign that you've been crushed. But I want to flip that today. I want you to understand that your tears are not wasted. They are not meaningless, and they are not weakness. Your tears have purpose. Every single tear that falls from your eyes has the potential to shape your character, sharpen your will, and strengthen your heart in ways comfort never could. You don't grow when life is easy. You don't discover who you are when everything is smooth sailing. You find your strength in the moments that bring you to your knees, in the nights when the pillow is soaked with pain, in the mornings when you wonder if you can even make it another day. Those tears are your testimony that you are still alive, still fighting, still refusing to surrender. Think about it. You've been through situations that broke you. You faced betrayal, loss, disappointment, and failures that felt like the end. In those moments, you cried. Maybe you cried silently in the shower where no one could hear. Maybe you cried in your car, gripping the steering wheel so hard, your hands went numb. Maybe you cried on your bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering why life had to hurt so bad. But I want you to know something powerful. Those tears were not the end of you. They were part of the process of building. Tears don't mean you're weak. Tears mean you cared enough to feel. Tears mean you loved enough, tried enough, invested enough, dreamed enough, that when it broke down, it hurt. And that pain, that's proof you were all in. People who never shed tears are people who never gave their heart, never risked their soul, never put themselves out there, but you did. You fought, and the tears are evidence that you were brave enough to give life your all. What you don't see in the moment is that tears water the soil of your future, like rain falling on dry ground. Your tears prepare you for growth. Every time you cry, you release the weight you've been carrying. You release the frustration, the disappointment, the anger, the heartbreak. That release is necessary. You can't grow with a hardened heart. You can't rise with bitterness strangling your soul. Tears cleanse you. They wash away the toxins of negativity. They open up space for healing. They soften the soil of your spirit so that new seeds can be planted. That's why your tears have purpose. They are watering the roots of your resilience. They are making sure that when the time comes, when the sun shines again, you will rise stronger than before. Look back at your life. Think about the toughest battles you survived. Didn't those tears you shed in that season eventually become the very reason you learned to fight harder? The reason you learned to stand taller? Maybe at the time you thought those tears were a sign you were finished. But now, standing where you are, you realize they were proof you had something worth fighting for. Every tear is a receipt that you endured, a receipt that you didn't give up when it hurt, a receipt that you're still here. Let me tell you something else. Tears connect us to humanity. You are not alone in your pain. When you cry, you are experiencing what every great leader, every great achiever, every overcomer has experienced. Do you think the heroes of history never cried? Do you think champions never wept in silence before stepping back into the arena? Tears connect us because they are universal. They are a reminder that greatness does not mean being untouchable. Greatness means rising despite the fact that you've been broken. When you shed tears, you join the company of people who dare to live fully, who dare to care deeply, and who dare to fight for something greater. Now, let me be real with you. I know it doesn't feel good. Nobody enjoys tears. Nobody wakes up saying, I hope I cry today. But what if you understood that every time you cry, it's like lifting weights for your spirit? You don't build muscle without resistance. You don't grow stronger without pressure. In the same way, you don't build resilience without tears. They are the resistance of the soul. They are what force you to look deep within yourself and discover who you really are. You will never know your true strength until life brings you to a place where tears are the only language left. In those moments, you find that you are stronger than you thought, wiser than you believed, and braver than you imagined. The danger is when you misinterpret your tears. Some of you think because you cried, it means you lost. No, tears don't mean defeat. Tears mean you're still in the fight. The ones who are truly defeated are the ones who stop caring, the ones who go numb, the ones who quit. As long as you can cry, you still have the ability to heal. As long as you can cry, you still have the heart to push forward. Don't confuse your tears with weakness. See them as proof of your humanity and as fuel for your strength. I want you to reframe the way you see those nights of crying. Don't see them as wasted hours. See them as sacred moments where you met the deepest parts of yourself. Tears strip away the masks we wear in public. They strip away the bravado of the ego, the image. Tears bring you face to face with your raw, unfiltered self. And when you meet that version of you, the vulnerable, broken, crying version, you also discover the deepest reservoir of courage you have. Because when you get up after crying, when you wipe those tears and step back into the arena of life, that is the most authentic strength there is. Sometimes your tears are even prayers in disguise. You may not have the words to say, but your tears speak louder than words. They are signals to your soul, whispers to the universe, cries for heed. And guess what? They are not ignored. Every tear you shed is counted. Every tear carries meaning. They are the bridge between your pain and your promise, between your present and your potential. So the next time you cry, I don't want you to feel ashamed. Don't hide it. Don't run from it. Let those tears flow. But when they fall, remember this. They are not just falling down your cheeks. They are falling into the soil of your future. They are watering your dream. They are nourishing your destiny. You are not crying because you are weak. You are crying because you are preparing for strength. You are crying because something inside you knows there's more to your story. You are crying because deep down you haven't given up. You're still reaching, still hoping, still believing. Tears have purpose. They mark the seasons of transformation in your life. Without them, you would never be able to fully appreciate the triumph that comes after. When the victory comes, and it will, you'll remember those nights of tears. And instead of feeling shame, you'll feel gratitude. You'll realize that without those tears, you wouldn't be standing in the triumph. The pain made the victory sweeter. The tears made the triumph possible. And that's why I came to remind you today. Don't despise your tears. Don't bury them in shame. Embrace them as proof that you are alive, that you care, that you are still in the game. Every tear you shed is evidence of your resilience, your courage, and your strength. Your tears have purpose, and that purpose is preparing you for the triumph that's already on its way. Your story isn't over. I don't care how many times you failed. I don't care how many times people have walked out on you. I don't care how many nights you've laid awake thinking it was done, finished hopeless. Your story is still being written. The mistake you made last year, that's not the final chapter. The heartbreak you experienced, the rejection you faced, the dream that fell apart, that's not the last page. You're still alive, which means the pen is still in your hand. You got ink left. You got pages left. And as long as there are pages left, you got hope. You've got a chance to rewrite, to rebuild, to recover, to rise. Too many of us think because we failed, it means it's over. We treat failure like a full stop instead of a comma. We treat heartbreak like the end of the book instead of just a pause in the narrative. Hear me. Every great story has tension, it has twists, it has conflict. The hero doesn't become the hero without going through struggle. Every powerful testimony has trials. If you've been through pain, if you've been through tears, if you've been through hell and back, that doesn't mean you're done. That means you're in the middle of the process. That means the climax of your story is still ahead. Think about it like this. If you're watching a movie and the main character goes through pain, do you get up and walk out of the theater? No, you stay because you know there's more coming. You know the character is going to grow, fight, and eventually overcome. Why don't you give yourself that same patience? Why do you walk out of your own life's theater when you're only halfway through? Don't you understand? What you're going through right now, the chapter you're in, is not the conclusion. It's the setup for the resolution. You can't quit now because the story isn't over yet. The danger is when you convince yourself that the ending is already written. That's the enemy's greatest trick. He wants you to believe the pain you're in right now is permanent. He wants you to believe the failure defines you. He wants you to believe that what happened yesterday is the last word. But hear me, as long as you're breathing, there's more to be said. Your worst mistake doesn't define your destiny. Your lowest moment doesn't disqualify you from greatness. It's just one scene in a much bigger picture. Some of you are carrying shame from your past like it's the title of your book. But your book is entitled A Failure. It is entitled A Broken. It is entitled A Rejected. No, those are just chapters. That's just part of the plot. The title of your book is A Triumph. The title of your book is Overcomer. The title of your book is Unfinished Masterpiece. And if you can hold on through the hard parts, if you can keep turning the page, you'll see that everything you went through had a purpose in the story. Think about every great person you admire. Do you think their story was smooth? Do you think they got there without setbacks? Every one of them has chapters they wish they could erase, chapters full of tears, chapters full of pain. But if you took those chapters out, the story wouldn't have the same power. The comeback wouldn't be as sweet. The triumph wouldn't be as meaningful. What makes a story powerful is that the character endured, that the character didn't quit, that the character kept going, everything said, a stop. That's what makes the ending worth it. And the same is true for you. You gotta shift your perspective. Stop thinking of where you are right now as the end. It's not the end. It's just a comma, a pause, a transition. Some of you gave up too soon. You closed the book when the author was still writing. You quit before the breakthrough. But let me tell you something, you can pick it back up. You can keep writing. You don't have to stay stuck in that chapter. You got new pages waiting for you. All it takes is the decision to keep going. And let me tell you why this matters so much. Because your story isn't just for you. Somebody out there is waiting on your testimony. Somebody is waiting to hear how you made it through. If you quit now, if you stop now, if you throw away the pen, you rob not only yourself, but the people who need your example. There's a kid somewhere who needs to hear how you survived heartbreak. There's a friend who needs to see how you bounce back after failure. There's a community that needs to witness your resilience. Your story isn't over because it was never meant to just be about you. It's meant to inspire, to uplift, to give hope to someone else who thinks their story is over. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying turning the page doesn't take effort. It does. It takes everything in you sometimes to believe there's more when everything around you looks finished. But that's where faith comes in. That's where resilience comes in. That's where you remind yourself, if I'm still here, I'm not done. Say it to yourself right now, if I'm still here, I'm not done. You got breath in your body, and that's the proof that your book is still being written. Don't waste the ink by giving up early. Don't throw away the paper by stopping now. Your story is a process. Every chapter has a purpose. The pain is shaping you. The failures are teaching you. The losses are preparing you. You can't see it all while you're in it, but when you look back, you'll understand that everything had to happen the way it did. The storm had to come so you could learn to stand. The rejection had to happen so you could find your real value. The failure had to occur so you could grow stronger. None of it was wasted because all of it is part of the story that's not over yet. And let me leave you with this. Some of you need to pick the pen back up. You stopped writing because you thought the book was ruined. But the ink of perseverance is stronger than the ink of pain. Write again, dream again, fight again. The author of life isn't finished with you yet. The story is still unfolding, the best chapters are still ahead, and the final word has not been written. Your story isn't over, not by a long shot. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Let that sink in for a moment. I know when you hear the word a setback, you don't feel inspired. Setbacks don't feel like blessings when they happen. They feel like failure, like rejection, like doors slamming in your face. They feel like the universe has turned against you. But what you don't realize in the moment is that setbacks are not signals to quit. They are signals to shift, to grow, to prepare for the next level. Every time you've been knocked down, every time life has pushed you back, every time the plan fell apart, it wasn't to end you. It was to position you. Setbacks are not punishment, they are preparation. Think about it. Some of the best things that have ever happened in your life came after something you thought was the worst. Maybe you lost a job you loved, and at the time you thought your world was over. But that loss created the opportunity for something better. Maybe you were rejected by a person you thought you couldn't live without, but that rejection cleared the path for someone who truly valued you. Maybe you failed in business, in school, in your personal life, but that failure forced you to grow, forced you to reevaluate, forced you to become someone stronger, wiser, sharper. The setback felt like an end, but it was really the setup for the comeback. We've been taught to hate setbacks, but I want you to embrace them. I want you to reframe them. Because every time you push back, it's like a slingshot being pulled. The further you pull back, the greater the momentum when you're released. That's how life works. It pulls you back so that when the time is right, you can launch farther than you ever thought possible. But if you misinterpret the pullback, if you think the tension means you're losing, you'll miss the launch. Don't misread the season you're in. Just because you're being pulled back doesn't mean you're going backwards. It means you're being positioned for forward acceleration. The truth is, we don't grow on the mountaintop. We grow in the valley. We don't learn strength when everything is easy. We learn strength when the odds are stacked against us, when we have to claw our way forward, when life knocks us down and we have to rise again. Setbacks create champions. Show me someone who has never failed, never been rejected, never been broken, and I'll show you someone who has never reached their potential, because success isn't built on comfort. Success is built on setbacks. Every great success story you've ever heard has chapters of pain, of rejection, of delay. The difference between those who win and those who quit is simple. Winners understood that the setback was temporary, but the comeback was inevitable. When you shift your mindset and start seeing setbacks as setups, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. Instead of asking, why me? You start asking, what's this teaching me? Instead of saying it's over, you start saying it's preparing me. That's the power perspective. Because life is going to hit you regardless. Life is going to throw curveballs, storms, disappointments. You don't get to control that, but you do get to control how you interpret it. And if you can train yourself to see setbacks as setups, then every time you fall, you'll rise higher. Every time you lose, you'll gain wisdom. Every time you're delayed, you'll be strengthened. Nothing will be wasted because you'll see all of it as part of the plan. Let me be real with you. Some of the best comebacks you'll ever experience won't come until you've been broken. That's just the truth. Because as long as you're comfortable, you don't change. As long as you're winning, you don't question your approach. As long as you're in control, you don't lean on faith. But when you hit a setback, when you fall flat, when you're stripped of everything you thought you needed, that's when you discover the resilience you didn't know you had. That's when you unlock the hunger that was buried inside you. That's when you stop relying on your own strength and start tapping into a deeper power. Setbacks force you to dig deeper. They strip away the superficial and bring out the authentic. That's why they're set, because they prepare you for a level you would have never reached otherwise. Think about the word a comeback. You can't have a comeback without a setback first. You can't return to glory unless you've first been knocked down. A champion isn't a champion because they never fail. A champion is a champion because they kept coming back. That's what defines greatness, the ability to rise again and again, no matter how many times life knocks you down. And if you're going through a setback right now, I need you to understand this is not the end of your story. This is not permanent. This is just a setup for a comeback that's going to shock the people who doubted you, the people who wrote you off, even a part of yourself that stopped believing. You might be thinking, but you don't understand my situation. You don't know how bad it is. You're right. I don't know the details. But what I do know is that as long as you're alive, as long as you got breath, As long as you got fight left in you, it's not over. I've seen people rise from situations far worse than yours. And the only difference between them and those who stayed down was their mindset. They decided that the setback would not be their identity. They decided that the setback was just one part of the story, not the whole book. They decided to come back stronger, wiser, and hungrier. And you can do the same. You've got to stop seeing setbacks as enemies and start seeing them as teachers. Every time you fall, ask yourself, what is this teaching me about myself, about my discipline, about my habits, about my purpose? The setback is not random. It's tailored to shape you into the person who can handle the comeback. Because hear me, sometimes you're not ready for what you asked for. Sometimes you need the delay, the rejection, the failure, because without it, the success would destroy you. The setback is training ground. It's preparing you so that when the comeback arrives, you're not just ready to receive it, you're ready to sustain it. Imagine if every time you failed, instead of sinking into despair, you stood up and said, good. That means I'm being set up for something greater. Imagine if every time you were rejected, you told yourself, this isn't the end, this is redirection. Imagine if every time life pushed you back, you reminded yourself, the further I'm pulled back, the farther I'll launch forward. How powerful would your life be if you lived with that perspective? How unstoppable would you become if you stopped letting setbacks break you and started letting them build you? You gotta own this truth. The setback is not your enemy. The setback is your ally. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to shape you. It's not here to end your story. It's here to add power to your story. And when you embrace that, when you lean into it, when you decide that nothing can stop you, not even failure, not even heartbreak, not even rejection, then you become unstoppable. You become a force of nature. You become someone who doesn't just survive setbacks, but thrive because of them. So if you're in the middle of a setback right now, don't you dare quit. Don't you dare throw away your dream. Don't you dare believe the lie that it's over. Stand tall, wipe your tears, take a breath, and remind yourself, set up, this is preparation. This is training ground. The comeback is coming. And when it does, it's going to be bigger, stronger, and more powerful than anything you could have imagined. Because at the end of the day, setbacks don't define you. What defines you is how you respond. And if you respond with resilience, with faith, with determination, then nothing in this world can keep you from your comeback. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. If you choose to see it that way, if you choose to rise, if you choose to keep fighting. And I promise you, if you keep going, your comeback will make every setback worth it. Scars are survival marks. Too many people look at their scars and feel shame. They try to hide them, they cover them up. They wish they could erase them as if they were mistakes that ruined their lives. But scars are not proof of weakness. Scars are not reminders that you lost. Scars are evidence that you made it through what was supposed to destroy you. If you have scars, it means you fought. It means you survived. It means you came out on the other side when others thought you would never rise again. Scars are not the end of your story. They are the testimony that your story is still being written. Think about it. Every scar on your body tells a story. That little line on your knee, it says you fell, you got hurt, but you healed. That mark on your arm, it says there was pain, there was bleeding, there was a moment when you weren't sure if you would recover, but you did. If physical scars carry stories, how much more powerful are the invisible scars, the ones nobody can see? The scars on your heart, your mind, your spirit, they tell stories of heartbreak, of betrayal, of rejection, of disappointment, of nights you thought you'd never get through. And yet here you are. You are living proof that scars don't mean the end, scars mean survival. The truth is, scars are badges of honor. They show the battles you've endured and the victories you've won. People who have no scars haven't fought, haven't risked, haven't lived deeply. But if you've got scars, it means you've been in the arena. It means you were bold enough to try, brave enough to love, strong enough to fight, even if you didn't come out unmarked. You've got to stop despising your scars and start embracing them as evidence that you're a warrior. Because warriors don't come out of battle without scars. Champions don't reach greatness without wounds. Survivors don't live without marks. And here's the powerful part. Scars don't just tell your story. They can heal others too. When people see your scars, when you're brave enough to show them instead of hide them, you give others permission to be real about their pain. You let them know they're not alone. You let them know healing is possible. Your scars become a beacon of hope, proof that brokenness is not the end. Someone out there needs to see your scars because they need to know survival is possible. But I know what some of you are thinking. You look at your scars and all you feel is pain. Every time you remember that heartbreak, that failure, that betrayal, it stings. You think the scar means you're damaged. But hear me clearly, scars mean the wound is closed. The scar means you're healed enough to keep moving. You may not forget. You don't have to live bleeding anymore. A scar is different from an open wound. A wound means you're still broken. A scar means you've healed enough to keep fighting. Stop mistaking scars for wounds. Stop reopening what is already healed. Start seeing the scar for what it is. Proof of victory. You've got to understand. Scars are part of the process of growth. You can't live a life of purpose and avoid scars. If you want to make an impact, if you want to live fully, you're going to get hurt sometime. You're going to love people who may not love you back. You're going to take risks that may not work out. You're going to chase dreams that may take longer than you planned. And yes, you'll get scars along the way, but those scars will shape you. They will remind you of your strength. They will be markers of the journey. Think about a tree. When you cut into a tree, it leaves a mark. Over time, the tree doesn't erase the scar. It grows around it. The scar becomes part of the wood, part of the beauty, part of the history. The same is true with you. The scars don't take away from your beauty. They add to it. They are what make you unique, what make your story powerful, what make your testimony undeniable. When people see your scars, they see authenticity. They see that you didn't have it easy, but you endured. And that's what inspires them. The problem is that we've been trained to be ashamed of our scars. We edit our stories. We hide our pain. We pretend like everything has been smooth. But the world doesn't need fake perfection. The world needs real people with real scars who can stand up and say, yes, I've been through it, but I'm still here. That's where the power is. Your scars don't disqualify you. They qualify you. They show that you have experience, that you walked through the fire, that you've learned the lessons. Scars are proof of wisdom gained. You've got to stop running from the scars of your past. They are not chains to hold you down. They are wings to lift you up. Every scar you carry means you survive on 100% of the worst days you've ever had. Read that again. Every scar you carry is proof you survived. You thought you couldn't handle it, but you did. You thought it would kill you, but it did. You thought you'd never recover, but you're still standing. That's the testimony of your scar. And don't miss this. Scars can actually be stronger than the skin that was there before. When you heal, the tissue that forms in the scar is often tougher than what was originally there. That means the very place you were broken can become the strongest part of you. The place you thought was your weakness can become your greatest strength. That heartbreak that almost crushed you, it made you wiser in love. That failure that embarrassed you, it made you sharper in discipline. That loss that left you empty, it made you stronger in gratitude. The scar became the strength. So don't look at your scars and see defeat. Look at your scars and see strength. Look at your scars and see survival. Look at your scars and see the hand of life saying, you made it. And when you show those scars, you're not showing weakness, you're showing resilience. You're saying, I've been through the fire and I came out gold. You might think your scars make you unworthy, unlovable, unqualified. That's a lie. The scars are what make you relatable, lovable, qualified. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with authenticity. And authenticity comes from scars. The very thing you want to hide might be the very thing that sets you free, the very thing that helps someone else find hope. If you want to live a meaningful life, stop being ashamed of your scars. Wear them like medals. Show them like metal. Show them like trophies. Talk about them openly, because the more you embrace them, the more you realize they were never meant to hold you back. They were meant to remind you of how far you've come. So the next time you see your scars, don't cry over them. Don't shrink because of them. Stand taller, smile, and say to yourself, this is proof that I survived. This is proof that I'm stronger. This is proof that my story isn't over. Your scars are survival marks, and survival is the foundation of triumph. Pain is a universal experience, and for many people, it becomes a heavy anchor that drags them down. leaving them feeling trapped in their own struggles. Yet pain is not meant to be the end of the story. It is not meant to define us or dictate the limits of what we can achieve. In fact, the very thing that feels like it's breaking us can also be the foundation upon which we build our greatest strength. Pain has a unique way of forcing us to confront who we really are and what we're made of. It strips away comfort, convenience, and ease, exposing the raw parts of our character that we didn't even know existed. It's in those moments of deep hurt, whether it's from failure, loss, rejection, or disappointment, that we discover the capacity to endure, to grow, and to rise again stronger than before. Think about it. Every person who has accomplished something meaningful has a story of pain. Athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, and even everyday people who overcame extraordinary odds did rise to greatness without first facing hardship. Their pain became a teacher, shaping them into individuals capable of carrying the weight of their destiny. The truth is, pain has purpose. It isn't random and it isn't without meaning. When you embrace it instead of running from it, when you choose to let it refine you instead of destroy you, pain becomes a tool for transformation. But here's the challenge. Most people look at pain as something to avoid at all costs. We've been conditioned to believe that comfort is the goal of life. We seek shortcuts, quick fixes, and easy paths because we don't want to deal with difficulty. Yet it's in those very difficulties where the seeds of greatness are planted. Pain stretches us beyond what we thought possible. It demands that we dig deeper, think harder, and work longer. It reveals resilience that would have otherwise remained hidden. Without pain, growth doesn't happen. Without pain, we remain stagnant, stuck in the safety of what we know instead of discovering who we could become. Imagine a seed buried in the soil. In order for that seed to grow into a tree, it must break open. The breaking process looks destructive, but it's actually the beginning of transformation. Pain works the same way in our lives. When circumstances break us open, we feel shattered. But in reality, it's the very process that allows us to grow into something bigger and stronger. Pain cracks open the shell of our limitations so we can expand into new possibilities. Take, for example, the story of people who have faced devastating failures. Many inventors, entrepreneurs, and creators endured years of disappointment before achieving their breakthroughs. Their failures weren't signs of weakness. They were stepping stones to success. Each moment of pain sharpened their vision, toughened their spirit, and clarified their purpose. If they had quit in the midst of that pain, they never would have discovered the triumph that awaited them. The pain became their passport to growth. On a personal level, pain often comes in the form of emotional wounds. Heartbreak, betrayal, grief, and rejection leave scars that run deep. But even in those moments, pain is teaching us something. It teaches us about resilience, about compassion, about empathy. It reminds us of our humanity and our ability to connect with others who are hurting. Sometimes the very pain we go through equips us to guide someone else through theirs. That's the hidden beauty of pain. It not only transforms us, but it also gives us the tools to transform others. We must shift our perspective from seeing pain as punishment to recognizing its preparation. Every tear you've cried, every sleepless night you've endured, every setback you face, it's all preparing you for something greater. It's shaping your character, strengthening your resolve, and pushing you toward a future you can't yet see. Pain refines your vision because it removes distraction. When you're hurting, you're forced to focus on what truly matters. It strips away the superficial and highlights the essential. This is why some of the most powerful stories in history are born from struggle. People who have endured suffering and risen above it carry a depth and authenticity that can't be manufactured. They've been through the fire, and they've come out stronger, sharper, and more resilient. That's what pain does. It purifies. It burns away weakness and leaves behind strength. But let's be real. Pain isn't easy. It hurts. It can feel unbearable. There will be days when you want to give up, when the weight feels too heavy to carry. And in those moments, it's tempting to believe that pain means you're not strong enough. But the truth is, the very fact that you're still standing, still breathing, still fighting is proof of your strength. Pain is not a sign of weakness. It's a signal of growth. It means you're being stretched, expanded, and prepared for something greater. The key is how you respond to pain. Some people let it make them bitter, while others let it make them better. The same fire that melts wax hardens clay. It's not about the pain itself, it's about what you choose to do with it. Will you let it break you, or will you let it build you? Will you run from it, or will you face it head on and use it as fuel to rise? When you embrace pain with the mindset that it has purpose, you start to see every challenge differently. That job loss becomes an opportunity to pursue your passion. That rejection becomes redirection towards something better. That heartbreak becomes a lesson in self-worth. Pain is the catalyst that moves you from where you are to where you need to be. Without it, you might never take the step forward. And here's something even deeper. Sometimes pain is the very thing that awakens you to your why. It's in those moments of brokenness that you realize what truly matters to you, what you're willing to fight for and what you refuse to give up on. Pain clarifies purpose in a way comfort never could. Oh man, when you know the cost of your struggle, you also begin to understand the value of your victory. So instead of asking, why me? When pain comes, start asking, what is this teaching me? What is this preparing me for? Shift the narrative. You're not a victim of your pain. You're a student of it. And if you stay in the classroom long enough, you'll graduate with the wisdom, strength, and resilience needed to step into your destiny. Every scar you carry is a testimony that you survived what was meant to break you. It's proof that you're stronger than your circumstances, braver than your fears, and more resilient than you ever imagined. Don't hide those scars. Wear them as badges of honor. They tell a story of pain, yes, but also growth, resilience, and triumph. Remember, pain is temporary, but the lessons it teaches are permanent. The hurt will fade, but the strength you gain will remain. Every tear you shed has watered the soil of your growth. Every moment of struggle has added weight to your foundation. And one day when you look back, you'll realize that the pain you thought was breaking you was actually building you into the person you were meant to become. Life is filled with moments when pain feels unbearable, when the weight of circumstances seems too heavy to carry, and when every step forward feels like it's taken with tears in your eyes. In those seasons, it can be easy to feel powerless, to convince yourself that pain is a signal of weakness or failure. But the truth is, pain has a purpose. It is not there to destroy you, but to refine you, to shape you into the person you were always meant to become. When you understand that pain is not your enemy, but a messenger, you begin to see how it can transform you in ways comfort never could. Growth does not come from ease. It comes from struggle, from resistance, from enduring hardship and allowing it to teach you lessons that nothing else can. When a seed is planted in the ground, it must first break before it grows. The outer shell cracks under pressure so that what's inside can push through and reach the light. That breaking process is painful, but without it, the seed would never fulfill its purpose. The same is true for your life. The struggles you've endured, the disappointments, betrayals, losses, and failures are not signs that your life is over, but proof that you are being prepared for something greater. Every tear you cried has watered the soil of your future. Every sleepless night has toughened your spirit. Every painful setback has carved out a deeper capacity in you for resilience and strength. Pain isn't wasted. It becomes the very tool that builds your endurance and your character. The danger lies in how you choose to respond to pain. Some people allow it to harden them, to make them bitter, angry, or hopeless. They see pain as final, as if it's the end of their story. But others, those who find triumph, make a different choice. They take the same pain and allow it to become fuel. Instead of letting it close their hearts, they let it open their eyes. Instead of letting it silence their voice, they let it deepen their message. Pain becomes a teacher, a motivator, a trainer that prepares them for the next level. It's all about perspective. Think about athletes for a moment. Every time they train, they subject their muscles to pain. The soreness, the exhaustion, the strength, all of it's necessary for growth. Muscles don't grow stronger without being pushed to their limit. In the same way, your spirit, your willpower, and your determination grow when they are tested by trials. Without resistance, you will remain the same. But with pain, you develop endurance, and with endurance, you develop strength. That strength becomes the foundation on which you build your future victories. Look back on your own life for a moment. Think about the seasons where you struggled the most. At the time, it may have felt unbearable. But didn't those same struggles teach you something you carry with you now? Maybe it was patience. Maybe it was humility. Maybe it was compassion for others. Maybe it was discovering your own resilience. Whatever it was, you wouldn't have learned it if life had only been easy. Pain has a way of teaching lessons that textbooks never could. It forces you to grow in ways that comfort never demands. The key is to stop resisting pain as though it's something unnatural. Pain is part of the process. Just like a diamond is formed under pressure and gold is refined in fire, your life is purified and strengthened through struggle. You cannot expect greatness without endurance. You cannot expect to impact lives without enduring struggles of your own. Pain gives you credibility. It gives you a testimony. It gives you the ability to stand before others and say, I've been there. I've survived. And if I can, so can you. Consider some of the greatest stories of triumph you've ever heard. Rarely do they come from people who lived an easy life. They come from people who have faced unimaginable challenges. People who've been knocked down over and over, but chose to rise again. Their pain became their platform. Their struggle became their strength. Their scars became their story. That's the beauty of pain. It transforms from being something that hurts you to something that empowers you if you allow it. One of the biggest lies pain tries to tell you is that you're alone. It whispers that nobody else could understand what you're going through. But the truth is, every human being faces pain. What makes your story powerful is not that you avoided hardship, but that you endured it and emerged stronger. Your journey becomes a beacon for others still in the middle of their storm. They look at you and realize that if you made it through, they can too. Pain gives you empathy. It connects you to humanity in a way comfort never will. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean pain is easy. It doesn't mean you won't cry, doubt, or want to quit. It doesn't mean the nights won't feel long or the days heavy. It simply means that beneath all of it, there is purpose. There is something being built inside you that no easy road could ever give you. That's why you can't give up in the middle of your pain. That's why you can't let it convince you your story is finished. It's in those very moments, the darkest hours, the hardest battles, that the foundation of your triumph is being laid. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. To the stone, every strike of the hammer feels destructive, painful, unnecessary. But the sculptor sees the vision. He knows that beneath the rough edges lies something beautiful, something worthy of admiration. That's what your pain is doing in your life. It's chiseling away the unnecessary, shaping you, molding you, preparing you for who you were meant to be. Without the chiseling, the masterpiece will remain hidden. So the next time you feel pain pressing on you, shift your perspective. Instead of asking, why me? Begin to ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of seeing it as punishment, see it as preparation. Instead of letting it silence you, let it strengthen you. You are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. And if you choose to endure, to keep walking through the fire, to keep moving even with tears in your eye, you'll come out not weaker, but stronger. The truth is, you may not be able to avoid pain, but you can transform it. You can let it sharpen you instead of destroy you. You can let it propel you instead of paralyze you. And when you do, you'll discover a resilience in yourself that you didn't know existed. You'll realize that what once felt like the end of you was actually the making of you. And one day you'll look back and see that the tears you cried were not wasted. They were the very foundation of your triumph. There comes a point in every person's life where they begin to understand that strength is not measured by how many times you never fall, but by how many times you rise after hitting the ground. Struggles are not just interruptions to our journey. They are the very essence of it. They mold us, refine us, and prepare us for the next chapter. When you go through pain, heartbreak, rejection, failure, or even betrayal, you feel like those experiences are designed to destroy you, but in reality, they are crafting within you a resilience that comfort could never build. The storms you face do not come to wash you away. They come to water the seeds of greatness buried deep within you. Resilience is not something you're born with. It is something you develop. It is forged in the fires of your trial. In the moments where everything inside you wants to quit, but something whispers, not yet. Think about it. Every time you survived something you thought you could, you got stronger. Every time you pushed through the tear, the exhaustion, the doubt, you built a layer of toughness that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. That toughness is your armor. That resilience is your secret weapon. It's what separates those who only dream about greatness from those who live it. The truth is, most people want triumph without the tears. But that's not how life works. The very definition of resilience means that something has been stretched, pressured, and yet it refuses to break. That's you. You may bend, but you won't break. You may cry, but you won't stop. You may stumble, but you won't quit. That's the spirit of resilience. And it's that spirit that carries you from one season of life to the next. Without it, you remain stuck in the cycle of defeat, constantly replaying but never learning from it. With resilience, however, you take those same painful moments and turn them into fuel. Think about the people you admire most, the legends, the icons, the ones whose names live far beyond their lifetimes. Their stories are not marked by a life without hardship. In fact, they're defined by the exact opposite. Nelson Mandela didn't spend 27 years in prison and come out bitter. He came out better. Oprah Winfrey didn't let a painful childhood keep her from becoming one of the most powerful voices in the world. Even Eric Thomas himself lived homeless, eating out of trash can, but it was resilience that turned his pain into purpose. If you strip away the resilience from their stories, all you see is tragedy, but because they endured, their tragedy became triumph. Resilience is also about perspective. When you face challenges, you can either say, why me? Or you can say, try me. One mindset keeps you stuck in victimhood, the other propels you into victory. When life knocks you down, resilience gives you the vision to see that maybe this setback is just a setup for a comeback. That's not a cliche, that's truth. Every disappointment is an appointment with something greater, if only you choose to see it. Resilience allows you to reinterpret the pain so that it doesn't define you, it refines you. But let's be honest, resilience doesn't feel good in the moment, it hurts. It breaks you down. It makes you question yourself. Sometimes it feels like you're holding on by a single thread. Yet, here's the beauty. Every time you hold on just a little longer, every time you push just a little harder, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. And once you've proven that to yourself, nothing in this world can take it away from you. You know you can survive. You know you can rise again. That's what resilience gives you. Confidence born out of survival. Resilience also teaches you patience. We live in a world that glorifies instant success, but resilience reminds you that true triumph takes time. It takes falling, failing, learning, adjusting, and then trying again. It's not overnight, it's overtime. And those who are willing to endure the overtime, those who refuse to walk away when it gets tough, are the ones who eventually hold the victory. Resilience trains you to wait without giving up, to struggle without losing faith, to endure without losing heart. That's why when triumph finally comes, it's so sweet, because you know how much it costs you. Resilience also connects you to others. People resonate with resilience because we've all struggled. We've all cried ourselves to sleep at some point. Yeah, Paul cried enough. We've all asked questions like, will I ever make it out of this? Or does my life even matter? When you develop resilience, you don't just survive for yourself, you survive to inspire others. Your comeback story becomes someone else's survival guide. When people see you rise after everything you've gone through, they start to believe that they can too. That's the gift resilience keeps giving. It doesn't just impact you, it impacts everyone who comes into contact with your story. So when you're in the thick of it, when the tears won't stop falling, when the weight of the world feels unbearable, remember this: you are not being buried, you are being planted. Buried things stay dead, planted things grow. And resilience is the water, the sunlight in the time that turns what feels like a grave into a garden. Don't mistake your current pain for your permanent condition. You are not finished. You are not defeated. You are not over. You are simply in training, being equipped with the resilience you need for the triumph that's ahead. That's why you can never give up. Not because the journey will be easy, but because the journey will be worth it. Resilience assures you that no matter how many times you fall, as long as you keep getting back up, your story isn't over. In fact, it's just getting good. Because every time you rise, you're proving to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that nothing, no setback, no loss, no betrayal, no failure, no pain has the power to stop you. That is resilience, and that is the bridge from tears to triumph. When life feels overwhelming and you stand in the middle of battles that seem too big for you, the thought of triumph may appear distant, even impossible. But here's the truth. Triumph doesn't always start with a parade. It doesn't always begin with cheer or applause. It often begins in silence, in the quiet moments when you choose to fight for one more day. When you decide that the pain will not have the final say. Triumph is not just about reaching the mountaintop. It's about finding the courage to climb, even when the mountain looks too steep. And that's why resilience and faith are not optional. They are essential. They are the very fuel that turns tears into triumphs, that transforms brokenness into breakthroughs, that shapes endings into new beginnings. When we talk about resilience, we're not talking about avoiding pain or pretending it doesn't exist. Resilience is about facing it, standing in the middle of the storm, and saying, I may bend, but I won't break. I may cry, but I won't quit. I may fall, but I will rise again. Resilience is the ability to stand in the fire and allow it to refine you rather than consume you. Every single trial you've endured has been preparing you for something greater. You may have seen doors close, relationships end, jobs slip through your fingers, health struggles knock you down. But through it all, you are still here. And being here means the story isn't over. That's resilience, that's strength. That's the silent testimony that your tears were not wasted. Faith, on the other hand, is what keeps you moving when you don't see the outcome yet. Faith is believing there's something on the other side of the pain, something worth fighting for even when you can't yet touch it. Faith is like walking through a dark tunnel with no flashlight, but knowing deep down that light exists at the end. You may not see it now, but you hold on to it because giving up is not an option. Faith tells you that your worst day is not your last day and your current struggle is not your final chapter. Faith whispers in your ear that the same God who brought you through yesterday's battles will carry you through today's and tomorrow's too. There are countless stories of people who endured unimaginable tears but chose resilience and faith. And in time, they discovered triumph. Think about someone who grew up in poverty with little to no resources, yet refused to let their environment dictate their destiny. They cried at night, they went hungry, they faced rejection and ridicule, but they kept believing, kept pushing, and eventually their pain became the fuel for their greatness. Their tears watered the seeds of their triumph. That could be your story too. Triumph doesn't mean life will be perfect or that you'll never cry again. It means you'll learn how to turn every setback into a setup. It means you'll take the very things that tried to destroy you and use them as bricks to build your destiny. The betrayal that hurt you, it taught you discernment. The failure that embarrassed you, it gave you wisdom. The heartbreak that crushed you, it deepened your compassion. The sickness that slowed you down, it gave you gratitude for every breath. That's what triumph looks like, taking what the world meant for harm and turning it into good. But here's the reality. Resilience and faith are choices, not feeling. You won't always feel strong. You won't always feel hopeful. Sometimes you'll feel like giving up, like throwing in the towel. But in those moments, you must choose to believe anyway. You must choose to fight anyway. You must choose to stand anyway, because victory doesn't belong to the one who never cries. It belongs to the one who refuses to quit crying until they found their breakthrough. Think about this. Every scar you carry tells a story. Some scars are visible, some are hidden deep in your heart. But scars are proof that you survived. Scars mean you went through the battle and came out on the other side. Scars are a sign of triumph. Too many people see their scars as shame, as reminders of failure. But if you shift your perspective, you'll realize a scar are your trophy. They're evidence that you didn't let life defeat you. You were knocked down, but not knocked out. Not knocked out. You were bruised, but not broken. You cried, but your tears didn't drown you. What does triumph look like in practice? It looks like getting up when depression tells you to stay in bed. It looks like forgiving when bitterness tempts you to hold on. It looks like applying for the job again after rejection. It looks like trying to rebuild your family after it's been torn apart. It looks like saying, I may not know how, but I know I will. Triumph is not just about the outcome. It's about the process, the daily decision, the trust, to keep moving, to keep hoping. And let's be real, you won't always feel victorious. Sometimes triumph is messy. Sometimes it looks like you're crawling instead of running. But even crawling forward is progress. Even small steps are victories. Never underestimate the power of little wins because they add up. Every time you refuse to give up, you're writing a line in your story of trying. Every time you keep believing, even with tears in your eyes, you're building a legacy that one day someone else will look at and say, if they made it, I can too. Faith and resilience don't just change your story. They change the stories of those who watch you. Watch you. Your children, your friends, your community, they're all watching. They may not say it, but they're inspired by your ability to endure, to believe, to rise. Sometimes your greatest triumph isn't even about you. It's about the lives you touch because you chose not to quit. So, when you think your tears disqualify you from greatness, remember this. Your tears are proof that you care, that you're human, that you've been through something worth fighting for. And when you combine those tears with resilience and faith, they become a testimony, a story of triumph that no one can take away from you. Triumph is not a destination, it's a mindset. It's knowing that no matter what comes your way, you have the strength to endure, the faith to believe, and the resilience to rise. And if you're still breathing, it means your greatest triumph is still ahead. Your story isn't over, and the tears you shed today are watering the garden of victories you'll walk into tomorrow. Life is a journey filled with valleys and mountaintops, with tears and triumphs, with heartbreaks and breakthroughs. Every chapter we go through leaves its mark on us. And sometimes the darkest chapters feel like the end of the book. But the truth is, those moments of pain are not the conclusion. They are the preparation for something greater. The tears you shed in private, the nights you spent questioning your worth, the setbacks that knocked you down harder than you thought you could ever rise from, and strengthening you for the life you were designed. Your story isn't over, no matter how broken it might seem in this moment. Every trial is part of your testimony. And every scar is proof that you survived battles that others couldn't even imagine. When you look back at the moments that nearly destroyed you, you'll realize they weren't meant to end you. They were meant to prepare you. They were lessons wrapped in pain, training grounds wrapped in struggle, and opportunities for growth wrapped in disappointment. The tears you cried watered the soil is your future, and the storms you endured prepared you to appreciate the sunshine when it finally came. Triumph isn't born from comfort, it's born from conflict. It comes when you push through adversity and refuse to let defeat define you. That's why your story isn't finished. It's still unfolding, and the very chapters you thought were the ending are actually the beginning of something powerful. You see, the beauty of life is that the pen is still in your hand. You might have written a messy draft so far. You might have chapters you wish you could erase. But your future pages are blank, and you still have the chance to rewrite the direction of your story. Every single day you wake up is proof that your purpose isn't done yet. If there was nothing left for you to do, no impact left for you to make, no life left for you to touch, you wouldn't still be here. But because you are breathing, because your heart is still beating, that means God isn't through with you yet. That means there are victories waiting for you, opportunities waiting for you, and lives waiting to be inspired by your courage to keep going. The triumph isn't only about achieving big things like fame or success. It's about overcoming what tried to break you. It's about standing tall after being knocked down. It's about forgiving when you were wronged, loving when you were hated, and persevering when you felt like quitting. Triumph comes in the small decisions. The decision to get up when you don't feel like it. The decision to keep working on your dream when no one believes in it. The decision to love yourself even when the world tells you you're not enough. Those daily victories, what build the ultimate triumph. They turn your pain into power, your fear into faith, and your tears into fuel for the next chapter of your life. But let's be real. There are moments when you feel like you've lost too much to ever win again. Times when the weight of regret, shame, or loss feels unbearable. In those moments, it's easy to convince yourself that it's over, that you missed your chance, that you're too far gone. But I need you to understand this. Your worst day does not define your destiny. Your mistakes do not cancel your purpose. Your pain does not disqualify you from greatness. In fact, the very things you think disqualify you are often the very things that qualify you to inspire others. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with authenticity. And when you're brave enough to share the raw, unfiltered truth of what you've been through and how you survive, you give others permission to believe they can survive too. Your story matters, not just for you, but for the countless people who will hear it and find hope in it. Somebody out there is waiting to see you rise so they know it's possible for them too. Somebody is waiting to hear how you turn tears into triumph so they can find the strength to do the same. Your scars are not signs of shame. They're signs of survival, signs that you endured what was meant to destroy you. Don't hide them. Use them. Don't bury your story. Share it. Don't waste your pain. Transform it into purpose. And here's the truth. Triumph doesn't come overnight. It's not a single moment. It's a process. It's a series of steps. It's a series of choices. A series of battles fought in silence before anyone else ever notices. Triumph is built in the trenches of life when no one is watching, when you're questioning everything, when you're on the verge of giving up. That's where the foundation is laid. That's where your character is forged. And when the time comes for the breakthrough, it won't just be about the victory itself. It'll be about the strength you developed in the struggle. Your story isn't over. Your story isn't over because you still have chapters left to write. You have dreams that haven't been fulfilled, relationships that haven't been healed, goals that haven't been reached, and lives that haven't been touched. Every day is a new page, a new opportunity to change the direction of your narrative. You don't have to let the pain of your past dictate the promise of your future. You can decide today to turn the page, to start fresh, to believe again, to fight again, to dream again. And let's not forget, triumph doesn't mean life will suddenly be perfect. There will still be obstacles, there will still be challenges, there will still be moments of doubt. But the difference is, once you've endured and risen from your lowest point, nothing can shake you the same way again. You'll walk with a different kind of confidence, a different kind of strength, because you'll know that if you survive that storm, you can survive anything. That's triumph, not the absence of struggle, but the ability to keep moving forward in spite of it. So as we close this journey, remember this. Your tears were not wasted. Your pain was not pointless, and your story is not finished. You are stronger than you think, braver than you realize, and more capable than you ever imagined. Your best chapters are still ahead. Your greatest victories are still unfolding. And your story, your beautiful, powerful, messy, inspiring story, is still being written. From tears to triumph, you are living proof that no ending is final unless you decide it is. The pen is still in your hand. Write the story that will inspire generations to come. Your story isn't over. It's only just beginning.